Hey folks, it's Ryan here from Bridge City Boardgamers, and I've got another What's in the Box for you video. It's been a long time coming. I haven't been purchasing many games lately, but this one was a must pick up. It's one of my favorite games. You guys know that it's one of my favorite games. We got Marvel Champions, the Galaxy Most Wanted expansion, and this is a big box expansion, much like the Rise of Red Skull expansion. So we've got a couple new heroes here. We're going to got Racoon and we've got Groot, and they're going to be traveling across the galaxy here, hopefully getting into all sorts of mischief and trouble and adventure along the way. And as you can see on top of the on the cover here, we've got Ronan, we've got the Collector, we've got Nebula. Let's see what other kind of goodies and surprises we've got going on inside. This is an unboxing of Marvel Champions, the Galaxy's Most Wanted. So I'm just going to kind of try to get the cellophane off here. 2 complete pre-built hero decks. Get the wrap off there. Alrighty, so let's take a look at what's inside. Put that off to the side over there. Alright, so we've got our rule book here, and of course we got the piece of cardboard there. It doesn't really do much and everything, and then we've got all our decks of cards inside here. So we'll end up taking a look at all of those. So let's take a look at the rule book first. Alright, we got the rule book here. Now I'm gonna thumb through the rule book in great detail here, and people will probably want to take a look at and experience the story for themselves. Everything like that. So let's just take a look at the first couple. Let's look at the first pages here. So we've got the new villain cards here. We're going to have Drang, the Collector, Nebula, and Ronan the Accuser. So we've got 2 different collectors, which is really quite interesting. We've got 265 cards, 111 player cards, 14 villain cards, and 140 different encounter cards. Awesome. Some keywords, and it looks like there's a couple new keywords to this expansion, which are Hinder. When a card with the Hinder X keyword is revealed, place X threat on that card. And we've got Patrol. While any minion with the Patrol keyword are engaged with a player, that player cannot thwart the main scheme. So much like the Guard mechanic, where you can't attack the main villain, but this one you cannot thwart the main scheme. We got Stalwart, a character that has the Stalwart keyword, cannot be stunned or confused. Villainous, when a minion with the Villainous keyword activates, give it a face down boost card from the top of the encounter deck. When you resolve that minion's activation, turn the boost card face up and apply its boost icons to the minion's stats for the activation. If the boost card has a boost ability, resolve its effect, discard the boost card after its activation. So now minions are going to now be able to gain boost icons with the Villainous keyword, which is really quite interesting. And Victory, when a card with the Victory keyword is defeated, place it in the Victory display instead of its owner's discard pile. That's much like the in the Arkham Horror living card game. There are cards with Victory, and those Victory values add to the end of a scenario, which you're allowed to then purchase new cards. At least in the Arkham Horror card game, we'll see what it applies to in this Galaxy's Most Wanted. With the new Victory display, the Victory display is an out-of-play game area shared by all players. Cards in the Victory display follow the standard rules for out-of-card plays. Amplify icon. The Amplify icon increases the number of boost icons on a boost cards. When a boost card is turned face up during an enemy activation, add 1 additional boost icon to that card to amplify the icon in play. That is awesome. New mode of play. Each of the scenarios in this expansion can be played individually as standalone adventures or part of the Epic campaign. Okay, so then there's the campaign mode rules. So much like the very similar layout that if you had the Red Skull expansion, there's probably some campaign specific cards that you're going to want to pay attention to. units and the market. I believe this is a new thing where you can now purchase new cards to put into your decks. Probably most likely with that victory display. Let's just take a look here. Okay, so it's just going over. And of course, there's an expert campaign that you can play through as well. And then we get into the actual story. So I'm just going to do a very quick thumb through. Don't look at anything. Don't look at anything. FAQ. There's the starter decks for Groot and Rocket Racoon. Groot has got the protection, and Rocket Raccoon's got the aggression aspects. And then we got FAQs. And then your campaign log that, if you're like me, you're probably never going to write in. You'll just probably go to the Fantasy Flight website and just download the PDF and print off a bunch of them for yourself. So there's the rule book. Okay, let's take a look at some decks here. Who are we going to look at first? Rocket Raccoon and Groot. Well, I've always been a big fan of Rocket, so let's take a look at Rocket first. And again, this is my favorite part, as long as probably you two, is struggling to get into the deck of cards. Oh my goodness gracious. How come I can never do this with grace and ease? Okay, what's going on here? Why is this not actually going? Oh, you guys didn't see that on camera, did you? Okay. Get that off to the side. Okay, so alter ego is Rocket Raccoon. 3 recovery. Tinkering. Oh, he's a genius and outlaw. Action. Choose and discard a tech upgrade you control. Draw 2 cards. Hero form is also Rocket Raccoon. 2 thwart, 1 attack, 1 defense. Murder you. Response. After you deal excess damage to an enemy, draw 1 card. Okay, there he is. So let's take a look at what we've got going on inside of his deck. We've got 2 copies of I Got a Plan. So I've got a plan. Tactic. 1 cost event. Hero response after you make a basic thwart. Ready Rocket Raccoon. Rocket Raccoon gets +1 thwart while in hero form until the end of the phase. We got 2 copies of Reload. 1 cost event. Hero action. Ready each tech upgrade you control. We've got Schadenfreude. Hero action, 2 cost event. Until the end of the turn, heal 2 damage from Rocket Raccoon each time you deal any amount of damage to an enemy. Okay, then we got 2 copies of Salvage. And notice it's got 2 resources at the bottom there, a genius and a wild card. It's a resource card. Response, after you spend this card, put a tech upgrade from your discard pile on top of your deck. Then we got 2 copies of Battery Pack. 1 cost upgrade. Enters play with 2 charge counters on it. Action, exhaust Battery Pack. Move a charge counter from this card to another tech upgrade you control. 2 cost upgrades. Cybernetic Skeleton. Tech. You get +3 hit points, while in hero form, Rocket Raccoon gets +1 attack. Funny, he has that. He has that already, so funny that you actually have to give it to him during the gameplay here. Okay, so then we got Particle Cannon. 3 cost upgrade. It's a tech weapon restricted. Enters play with 2 charge counters on it. Hero action, exhaust Particle Cannon and remove 1 charge counter. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. This attack gains overkill and ranged. Then we've got Rocket Launcher. Tech weapon, 3-cost upgrade. Restricted, enters play with 2 charge counters on it. Exhaust rocket launcher and remove 1 charge counter. Choose a player, deal 2 damage to the villain and each minion engaged with that player. So kind of nice to get rid of those small minions. You can see that Rocket is all about getting that damage out there. Rocket's pistol, 1-cost upgrade. Restricted, enters play with 3 charge counters on it. Hero action, exhaust Rocket's pistol and remove 1 charge counter. Deal 2 damage to an enemy. Thruster boots, 1-cost upgrade. While in hero form, Rocket Racoon gets +1 thwart and gains the aerial trait. So those are all the Rocket Racoon specific cards to his deck, which is really quite nice. He's all about getting those techs and upgrading and dealing lots of damage. So it must be fitting that he is also going to get a bunch of aggression cards. So we've got an ally, 2-cost ally. Bug, 1 thwart, 1 attack. Hero response, after your hero makes a basic attack, heal 1 damage. So he might stick around for a little bit. Kind of interesting. Got 0-cost event, chase them down. After your hero attacks and defeats an enemy, remove 2 threat from a scheme. Okay, so we got 2 copies of that. Into the Fray, 3-cost event. Deal 6 damage to a minion. For each point of excess damage dealt by this attack, remove 1 threat from the main scheme, and also probably combos with some of those Rocket Racoon cards. Okay, we got 3 copies of that. Looking for Trouble, 0-cost event. Hero action, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until you discard a minion. Put that minion into play engaged with you. Remove 3 threat from the main scheme. And we've got 3 copies of that. Relentless Assault, 2-cost event. Hero action, deal 5 damage to a minion. If you paid for this card using a physical resource, this attack gains overkill. Excess damage from this attack is to the villain. 2 copies of that. Follow through, 2-cost upgrade. Hero interrupt, when your hero's attack deals any amount of excess damage, increase that amount by 1. So of course there's going to be 3 copies of that one. Got 2-cost upgrade, hand cannon. Restricted, uses 3 charge counters. Hero interrupt, when your hero makes a basic attack, exhaust hand cannon and remove 1 charge counter from it. Your hero gets +2 attack for that attack. That attack gains overkill. All about the overkill in this deck. We got 3 copies of hand cannon. Those are your aggression cards. Now for your basic cards. We've got ally, 3-cost Groot. So of course if you're going to play without Groot as your partner, or you're playing solo with Rocket, you're going to want to have Groot in play. Play only if your identity has the Guardian trait, which Rocket does. Response, after Groot defends against an attack, heal 2 damage from him. And notice that he has 6 damage. He's also a 1 thwart 2 attack. Flora and Fauna. It's the team up card we're growing accustomed to with the Ant-Man and Wasp and Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Rocket and Groot are no exceptions. Hero action, place 2 growth counters on Groot to a maximum of 10 and ready him, or place 2 charge counters on Rocket Racoon upgrade and ready that upgrade. And of course we've got our energy, we've got our genius, and we've got our strength. We've also got Booster Boots. It's a 1-cost upgrade. Play only if your identity has the Guardian trait. Max 1 per player. Hero interrupt, when you would take any amount of damage from an attack, exhaust Booster Boots and discard the top card of your deck. Prevent 1 of that damage. And we've got 3 of those particular cards. And now we've got the obligation, Crisis of Half-World. Okay, you can exhaust your alter ego to remove Crisis from the game, or you can discard the highest cost upgrade you control. If no upgrades were discarded this way, this card gains Surge. Vendetta. It's got that new icon that adds the extra boost icon. And we got Blackjack O'Hare as the villain, that quick strike, and that villainous keyword that we read about in the rule book. Ha 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 ha. Very cool. We got Blackjack's Bazooka attached to Blackjack O'Hare. If you cannot attach to the villain, hero action, spend 3 Genius resources to discard this card. Planetary Invasion. When revealed, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until you discard a minion. Reveal that minion, then give it a tough status card. And of course, there's 2 copies of that, so not too bad. Not too bad. So there's your Rocket deck. Not too bad. He's going to be probably the first one that I end up playing with. Seems pretty cool. There's probably some really neat builds that you can give with him. Of course, one of the aspects that I'm really interested always in is the leadership. So I wonder what a Rocket leadership. Give him the leadership aspect. I wonder what we can do with him. Okay, let's put him up there. Okay, let's get to the big man, Groot. Again, I'm going to struggle to get into this pack of cards. Always struggling to get inside these decks of cards. Until you break the seal. There it is. Put that off to the side there. Okay, there we go. Finally. Got it. Okay, let's take a look at the big man himself. Alter ego side is Groot. For recovery, outlaw, growth spurt, action. Place 2 growth counters on Groot to a maximum of 10. I am Groot. Hero form is Groot. 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 defense. Flora Colossus. Force interrupt. When Groot would take any amount of damage, remove that many growth counters from him. For each growth counter removed this way, prevent 1 of that damage. So you can buff him up. And then he has some extra hit points that you can spend. And he starts with 10. Pretty neat. Let's take a look at let's see what he's all got in store for us. So let's take a look at his specific. So we've got Fruition. Action. It's a 0-cost event. Place 2 growth counters on Groot. I imagine we got 3 of them. No, we only got 2. 3-cost event. We got I am Groot. Superpower Thwart. Hero action. Remove threat from a scheme equal to the number of growth counters on Groot. Oh, so you could probably get a lot out of them. And there are 2 copies of that. And then we got a 2-cost event of I am Groot. Hero action, deal damage to an enemy equal to the number of growth counters on Groot. So we've got the thwarting version, and now we've got the attacking version, which could be really quite cool if you've buffed Groot up all the way to the max. 2-cost event, we got Root Stomp. Hero action, deal 5 damage to an enemy. If this attack defeats that enemy, place 1 growth counter on Groot. And we've got 3 copies of that. 1-cost event is We Are Groot. Hero action, remove up to 4 growth counters from Groot. Choose that many friendly characters. Give each of those characters a tough status. So you can give up to 4 characters a tough status card. That is amazing. That is much better than the Doctor Strange, where you can only give up to 3 characters. But you have to remove the growth counters. There's only one of those. Fertile Ground, 1 cost support, alter ego action, exhaust. Fertile Ground, place 1 growth counter on Groot and draw 1 card. Entangled Vines, 1 cost upgrade. Hero Interrupt, when Groot makes a basic thwart, remove 1 growth counter from him and exhaust Entangled Vines. Groot gets +2 thwart for that thwart. Lashing Vines, 1 cost upgrade. After Groot uses a basic power, remove 2 growth counters from him and exhaust Lashing Vines. You get to ready Groot. Vine Shield, 1 cost upgrade. When Groot defends against an attack, remove 1 growth counter from him and exhaust Vine Shield. Groot gets +3 defense for that attack. And Vine Spikes, when it's a 1 cost upgrade, Groot makes a basic attack, remove 1 growth counter from him, exhaust Vine Spikes. Groot gets +2 attack for that attack. So really cool. We're using those growth counters to do all sorts of really cool and crazy things. And just like they mentioned before, they gave him the protection status. So let's take a look at the protection cards that they're going to give Groot in his basic deck right out of the box. We got a 2 cost ally in Starhawk. 1 thwart, 2 attack. Interrupt, when Starhawk takes damage exactly equal to his remaining hit points, return him to your hand. Ooh, so he's not going away. Possibly. Desperate Defense, 1 cost event. When your hero defends against an attack, it gets +2 defense for that attack. If you take no damage from the attack, ready your hero. And you're going to get 3 copies of that one. 2 cost event, Fighting Fit. Hero action, deal 2 damage to the villain, 5 damage instead if your hero's remaining hit points are equal to or greater than your hero's starting hit points. And you get 3 copies of that. Of course, you're going to get Power of Protection, double the number of resources this card generates while playing for a protection card. 2 copies. Dauntless, 1 cost upgrade. Play under any player's control, max 1 per player. While your hero's remaining hit points are equal to or greater than your hero's starting hit points, your hero gains Retaliate 1. I guess I should bring that up a little bit closer. And you're going to get 3 copies of that. Hard to Ignore, it's a 1 cost upgrade. Skill, Hero Response. After your hero defends against an attack and takes no damage, exhaust Hard to Ignore, remove 1 threat from the main scheme. And you're going to get 3 copies of that. Indomitable, the 1 cost upgrade. After your hero defends, discard Indomitable, ready your hero, and you're going to get 2 copies of that. And then lastly, the basic cards. We got the 3 cost ally, Rocket Racoon. Play only if your identity has the Guardian trait. Which is important to note that the alter ego form of Groot has Outlaw. The hero form of Groot has the Guardian trait, so you can only play Rocket Racoon when he is on his hero form. Interrupt, when Rocket Racoon attacks a minion, he gets +3 attack for that attack. That attack gains Overkill. Of course, it fits the theme of what Rocket Racoon was doing in his deck. Flora and Fauna, there is the Team Up card that we saw in Rocket's deck. And of course, we get the Energy, we get the Genius, we get the Strength. We also get Deft Focus, 1 cost upgrade, max 1 per player, hero action, exhaust Deft Focus, reduce the resource cost of the next superpower card by 1. And you're going to get 3 copies of that. Okay, Obligation, Wilt. You may flip to alter ego form, choose exhaust alter ego, remove it from the game, or remove 3 growth counters from Groot. If no growth counters were removed this way, this card gains a surge. Blazing Inferno. Bring that up over here. Forced response. After the villain phase begins, deal 2 indirect damage to each player. Ugh. Not that much fun. Okay, then the minion is Fernax. 2 scheme, 2 attack. Forced response. After Fernax activates, deal 2 indirect damage to each player. Ugh. Fan the Flames. Take 2 indirect damage. If Blazing Inferno is in play, take 1 additional indirect damage. If Fernax is in play, take 1 additional indirect damage. So it just could just keep getting worse and worse as if all those things are in play. And of course, there's going to be 3 copies of that one. Of course, there would be. And there is the Groot deck. Oh, they both sound like so much fun to play. I'm probably just going to play double-handed. I'm probably just going to play Rocket Racoon and Groot double-handed and play through the campaign mode of this. Okay, put those up there. Okay. Ugh. Well, let's take a look at what do we got going on in here. And so I am going to assume, I'm not sure what order that these kind of go in, but I'm not going to go into these ones in too much detail. I'm going to assume they're going to start off with, because I think Drang is the first. I think that's the first scenario. Let me just double check that. And scenario number 1 is the Brotherhood of Badoon. Anything like that. So yes, it is Drang. Is the first villain. So I'm going to assume this is where it's going. This is where it's going to start. So I'm just going to kind of just go through this. I'm just going to try to open up all these decks of cards. See what we got going on. Maybe I'll just highlight the hero. Oh, sorry, the hero. We already did the heroes. I'll highlight the villain. Maybe just kind of thumb through a couple of his cards, and then we'll move on with our thing. So we got Drang. 1 scheme, 2 attack. Forced response. The boost icon is after Drang schemes resolve the Badoon's ship charge up ability. So I'm assuming there's going to be that. And then we got the level 2, level 3s. And we've got his main schemes. Terrestrial invasion. Protect the planet. This is one thing that the game is now is that there are environments that can come into play and stay into play. We got the Badoon ship. We got charge up special. Place 1 barrage counter here. Then if there are 4 more barrage counters here, deal 2 indirect damage to each player and remove all barrage counters. So it kind of stays there, and it's going to power up with Drang's ability there, and then eventually just attack the players. We got his Drang's spear, which is just an attachment. We got some minions here, Badoon engineers. I'm gonna bring them up a little bit closer here. We got some side schemes. Okay, and then that looks like Drang. Now looks like we got the Collector. 2 scheme, 1 attack. When a card would be placed into a discard pile from play, put it face up into the collection instead. Ooh, I'm gonna assume that's gonna mean something to us in probably the maybe in this one that says the Grand Collection. Maybe let's take a look at what that says. Hero action, choose your either exhaust your hero or spend 2 resources of any type, discard 1 card from the collection to its owner's discard pile. If there are at least 5 per player cards in the collection, or this stage is complete. So I'm assuming there's going to be some rules about what is referred to as the collection. And then then we're going to have the collector's cards. We got some minions. We got the inconspicuous box. That's actually pretty awesome. 2 copies of that. View of the Cosmos. Why don't you just stay a while? Caught off guard. And now we've got the collector. It says A1. Look at, oh, it's okay. So then there is, looks like a different version of the collector, which has a 1 scheme, 1 attack. Collector gets plus X scheme or plus X attacks for X is equal to the main scheme's current stage number. Force interrupt: when the collector would be defeated, remove 3 per player threat from the main scheme and flip this card instead. Oh wow, some crazy things. Collector cannot be defeated. When the round ends, flip this card and set collector's hit point dial to his printed hit points. Interesting. So there's A1, there's B1. Really interesting kind of mechanics going on there. And then there's a whole bunch of main schemes that I'll probably that one looks really interesting, so let's can't wait to maybe see what that one's all about. We got Nebula. 1 scheme to attack. The first technique attachment revealed each round gains Surge. When Nebula initiates an activation against you, resolve the special ability on each technique attachment in play, then discard each of those attachments. We've got a couple. Nebula ship. And it looks like she's got a bunch of those technique cards, of course. Side schemes. We got treachery, and looks like it's going to continue on into the next. I should put these back into the order that they should be appearing. Next deck of cards. Oh. Oh, I love these big box expansions. You get so much content. You get so much value inside the box with the new heroes and then the brand new scenarios that you get. It's just through the roof. Through the roof. Now it looks like these are just more to the Nebula deck that I'll just put with them. With her. Okay, and then we get Ronin, the Accuser. 2 scheme to attack, toughness. Forced interrupt: when Ronin, the Accuser, activates against you, give him 1 additional boost card if you control the Power Stone. So obviously in some form that we are going to be gaining Infinity Stones. In this one, all about the Power Stone, of course. Some really cool art on these cards, of course. And of course, you think that he is going to be one tough man to beat. Put that one over there. Okay, and then we got the Nemesis sets. We've got the Brother Band of Badoon. It's got 10 cards. We've got Galactic Artifacts. There's 9 cards. Looks like it's probably something to do with the collector there. we've got Kree Militants. There's 9 cards inside of that. We got Menagerie Medley. Look at that art. Fantastic. Oh, lots of those guys and servant bots. And then we got our last deck of cards here. It's probably going to have some more encounter decks and probably some of our campaign cards. I'm assuming in this last deck here. That deck opened up way too easy. And then, yeah, these are the last ones of the Menagerie Medley. Put them in there. And then we've got the Space Pirates. There's 8 in that encounter set. 6, 7, 8. The Milano, the iconic Guardians of the Galaxy ship. Permanent setup, so it starts in play. The first player controls the Milano. Piloting exhausts the Milano, generate a wild resource for any player. So that's really kind of cool. And we got Ship Command. Oh, so this is the first card of the Ship Command set. Interesting. Then we've got the Power Stone. It's the only one of its kind. Setup attached to the villain. Permanent. After a hero or villain deals 3 or more damage to attached character, with a single attack, attach Power Stone to the attacking hero or villain. So it's just going to kind of bounce around from player to player. Whoops, I didn't realize I got that close to the camera. And then we've got our campaign cards, which are going to be these new cards that you could buy from the market. It's got this little keyword down here and says the market. And there's a deck of 28 of these. And they got these things called unit costs. So it's going to be how much they're going to cost you. I'm not going to go through all of these. This video is already getting a little long. So, but note that there are a whole schwack load. Unit cost 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s. They cost all the way up to 7s. So there's the market deck. And then we've got the campaign standard challenge. Standard mode only. The Badoon Blitz. Campaign Standard Challenge, Gallery of Splendor. Campaign Standard Challenge, There is no escape. Guerrilla Tactics, I'll have to read about what these challenges are. Kree Supremacy. And then it looks like we've got Badoon Headhunters encounter deck. Oh my goodness, lots of encounter decks, lots of things to do. Okay, and as you can kind of see here, I've got them all over the place, but that is the Galaxy's Most Wanted. What's in the box? Like I said, folks, these big box expansions, you want to get in on these. The Red Skull one, at least here in Canada, went out of circulation for a while. I know it's available in other places, but in Canada here, it kind of never came back after it was sold out. So I really hope the same thing doesn't happen here. So grab these big box expansions. They're absolutely most worth the while. You get the 5 scenarios, 2 new heroes, whole bunch of new encounter decks. Okay, folks, that's been what's in the box. I've been your host, Ryan, from Bridge City Boardgamers, and yeah, go out and check this. I'm gonna go sleeve everything up and go and probably take on the first scenario here. Okay, take care there, and I'll see you next time I decide to make a video. Maybe I'll buy some games next time. Ciao.